Fire Red and Leaf Green, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Omega
I think
Ruby
it's this
and
one.
Alpha Sapphire.
I think you're right.
So far, Game Freak has remade 3 generations of Pokemon games, and while there's certainly some things that could have been done better,
this is it. It was just posted in 2016. Let's see how this holds up in the future. Let's do it.
Better in these remakes, for the most part they've been met with incredible positivity. Because after all, who doesn't like seeing their childhood remastered and revamped? It's pretty easy to see that people love seeing the Pokemon games remade, and as such, ever since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire came out, people have been asking the old important question, will the next games in line, Diamond and Pearl, receive remakes as well? Well, if you ask me, while there's no official word as of yet, I recently found a couple of anomalies in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, as well as in the sales patterns of the Pokemon games, that makes me almost certain that these remakes are going to happen at some point.
Guys, he found anomalies in the sales patterns of the games. To say, hold on, this is really important. They are all but confirmed. Let's examine that sentence for a bit, or that phrase, all but confirmed. Literally, what he means by that, or what we usually mean by that, is it's 100% certain that these are going to come out. Game Freak just has to confirm them officially. Let's find out these anomalies that he's found to make sure to see how we can be this sure about these remakes coming out. Let's see it.
In other words, the Diamond and Pearl remakes are essentially all but confirmed. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to try and convince you guys why I think this is the case. First, I want to start with the incredibly obvious argument that all of the first 3 generations so far have had remakes. In 2004, we had Fire Red and Leaf Green as remakes for Gen 1. Then in 2009, we had Heart Gold and Soul Silver as remakes for Gen 2. And finally,
this hot take, guys.
We had Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Oh my
as
god.
remakes for Gen 3.
Can you imagine?
So it's pretty clear at this
wow.
point.
How long is he going to spend on this point? How long is he going to spend talking about that? This is literally the reason people click this video. People know this already. What are you talking about? This is why people would even consider this happening in the first place, dog.
Game Freak likes the idea of making remakes for older generations. Meaning, if their past behavior is anything to judge by, Sinnoh remakes are probably going to happen. However, I'm sure all of you have already deduced this by now, so let me go ahead and move on to something a little more convincing.
Here we go.
Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Convince me. Convince me. Let's go. Let's see it.
If you go to the Lily Cove Art Museum.
Yeah, if you go to the Lily Cove Art Museum. Oh shit, this better be some good shit right here.
You'll find 2 rather strange and out-of-place paintings.
Oh shit, this must be some really like big stuff. The Lily Cove Art Museum and Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. Holy shit. Alright, what's it gonna be?
First of these paintings is actually one of Giratina, and the second painting is one of Arceus. I apologize if they're a bit hard to see, by the way, so I'll link them down in the description in case you want to check them out for yourself and zoom in on them a little. Now, if you think about it, this is beyond strange, because obviously their original Gen 3 games did not have these pictures, meaning Game Freak deliberately put these pictures into the Lily Cove Art Museum when making Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And why?
Hold on, I'm gonna let him continue this point.
In all hell would they put 2 of the flagship Pokemon for 4th generation in this art museum, when if anything 4th gen is the least pertinent thing to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire?
Why would they do that? Except for the fact that, you know, it's to bring some fresh flavor, to signify, hey, this is a remake, we've had other games since then, here's this to honor them. Instead of doing that, instead of that being the reason, no, the reason is they're going to bring out a Gen 4 remake, and they want to use this, the Lily Cove fucking art museum, with 2 pictures out of like 50 in there, to tease these games. This is the anomaly that he's found.
Pokemon games have always had 1st and 2nd gen references, and referencing Gen 6 makes sense since Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are part of the same generation, but a reference to 4th gen is just really...
Yeah, they should. Yeah, it's right. It's completely. It doesn't mean anything if they reference any other game. They reference any other game. That's normal. But if it's Gen 4, that means it has to be a remake.
Out of the blue. So either this is some incredibly strange coincidence, or Game Freak is teasing the Sinnoh remakes. Finally, I've got one.
Those are. I'm sorry.
This is some incredibly strange coincidence, or Game Freak is teasing the Sinnoh remakes.
These are the only two options. The only two options. It's either an insane coincidence. How could it be that out of 6 generations, they picked one generation for one museum in that game? That chance must be so astronomically low. It's like 1 in 6. Or the Sinnoh remakes are confirmed.
Finally, I've got one more slightly complicated but rather convincing argument. So if you
Oh shit, here we go. Slightly complicated but convincing.
guys bear with me here, I think you'll agree by the end of the video that the Sinnoh remakes are probably gonna happen. On screen, I'm gonna show you guys a table of the sales for all the main series Pokemon games ever released. The first...
Alright. Before it gives us the analysis, let's try to analyze this one ourselves. It's a little bit hard to read. So, Red and Blue did really well. Yellow did pretty well. Gold and Silver did a little bit worse. First remake, Leaf Green, did worse than Ruby and Sapphire. Way worse than the original. Emerald, Diamond and Pearl, 17. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, 12. Also did worse than the new generation. Also did worse than the next generation. X and Y, 14. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, 11. Also did worse than the original one. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what you have to say about this, my dude. Let's see.
First thing I want to point out is that if you look at the sales for the remakes, there's generally an upward trend.
There's generally an upward trend for the remakes. Let's look at it again. So, Fire Red, Leaf Green sold 12. Heart Gold, Soul Silver sold 12. Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire sold 11 million copies. All right. You want to...
Fire Red and Leaf Green sold around 12 million copies, Heart Gold and Soul Silver sold 12.72 million, and finally Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire sold 11.46 million. But keep in mind, this information is from 2015, meaning Aurora sold that much in only 1 year.
Okay, let's see the upward trend of the other games then, shall we? Let's see if this matches up, right? Like, what? Never mind. Ruby like Diamond and Pearl grew to Ruby and Sapphire, right? I don't know. Let's see. Ruby and Sapphire didn't grow from Gold and Silver. Red and Blue didn't grow. I don't know. Just because they sell more sales than the previous ones, they sell less copies than like the actual games. So why would Game Freak be like, okay, let's make a remake because they'll sell more than the previous remake? That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why wouldn't they be like, okay, because the question is, are they going to release a remake or a new Pokemon game? And the new Pokemon game obviously sells so much better than the remakes. So why would they be like, this remake is going to sell better than our last remake, right? If these were like 2,000 copies, 2001 copies, 3,000 copies, Game Freak would be like, oh man, the next one's going to sell better. We better sell these ones. This argument doesn't make no sense whatsoever. It's so stupid.
So I would say that given time, the sales for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire will either surpass or at the very least be close to that of Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which gives us an upward trend in sales for the remakes. So the point is that remakes of previous generations are still selling quite a bit and doing very well, and from a business perspective, if something is gaining in popularity, then you should keep doing it, which means that when the...
From a business perspective, if something is I like how he says this with this authority. From a business perspective, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What the fuck? Just because something is gaining in popularity doesn't mean you just keep doing it if everything else that you sell is selling way better. What is this guy talking about?
Pokemon Company sits down to talk about Sinnoh remakes, this will be a huge factor in swaying their decision towards going through with these remakes.
Yeah, you know what else is going to be a huge factor? They're going to be like, hey, we should do these remakes. They've been selling better every year. And the dude's just like, yeah, but the main games sell way better, right? They're like, yeah, but it's an upward trend. So from a business perspective, you should keep doing it, right?
Also, take a look at the sales of the initial releases for each generation. In other words, take a look at the sales for Red and Blue, Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire, Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, and finally X and Y. For the most part, we see a downward trend in sales as the generations progress on. Between Gens 1 and 2, we had a decrease from 31.38 million to 23.10 million.
It's almost like the Nintendo DS is like the best-selling fucking console out of any of these. It's almost like the Nintendo DS is the second best-selling fucking console of all time. And that's why they sold more than Ruby and Sapphire. What the fuck?
And between Gens 2 and 3, sales decreased from 23.1 million to 16.22 million. Between Gens 4 and 5, we had a decrease from 17.63 million to 15.60 million. And finally, between Gens 5 and 6, we had a decrease from 15.6 million to 14.46 million. However, there is one exception to this trend, and that is Generation 4. As you guys can see, for the only time in history, sales rose between 3rd generation and 4th generation from 16.22
I wonder why that could be.
to 17.6
Really makes you think.
And I'm sure you guys are all asking at this point, what does it all mean? Well, it means that 4th gen was really popular. In general, sales trends like this persist, but for whatever reason, Diamond and Pearl violated the trend. Which is incredibly strange when you think about it, because Pokemon is a franchise based—
That's so strange that the game that came out on the best-selling handheld console of all time would sell better than the game before it on one of the worst-selling handheld consoles that Nintendo made. Really makes you think.
Based on nostalgia to some extent, so it makes sense for the first few generations to sell a lot, but it doesn't really make as much sense for 4th generation to sell so well. Implying that once again, this is no coincidence. Diamond and Pearl were truly popular. As such,
this is no
when the
coincidence,
Pokemon Company
guys.
looks back at their sales, they're gonna see this and realize how good an opportunity the Sinnoh remakes are for them. Because a lot of people are definitely gonna go out and buy them. Also, it makes absolutely no sense to do remakes for Ruby and Sapphire, but not Diamond and Pearl, when Diamond and Pearl sold better than Ruby and Sapphire. So judging by the sales of past Pokemon games, there's no way in hell Game Freak isn't remaking 4th generation. Which pretty much means one thing and one thing only.
By the way, Ultra Sun and Moon was the last 3DS game for Pokemon. I love seeing this. If he made this video today, he would just slap a Switch logo on here and be like, it's all but confirmed, guys. I swear to God, it's happening. Here's in fucking Sun and Moon. If you go behind a corner on this island and wait at exact midnight, the clouds are gonna take the form of like Dialga's head, kinda. All but confirmed.
Only. Sinnoh confirmed. Well, alright folks, that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop me a like down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Pokemon videos.
Those were his 2 points for the games being all but confirmed. 2 paintings in the Lily Cove Museum and some bullshit data analysis. What the fuck?
Wow, Gen got destroyed in that debate. Pokemon's.
Pokemon's. Thank you so much for subbing, Alexander. Welcome back for 2 months, buddy. There's one trainer on this one run uses a Bieberell. Sinnoh remakes confirmed, guys. The funniest part about this is that they actually made a Gen 1 remake before they made the Gen 4 remakes. That you could go back and be like, go to every single reference in every single Pokemon game in Gen 1 and be like, this confirms Gen 1 remakes, and then they actually bring it out and then they'd feel right. The funny thing is too, that like, we all know that Gen 4 remakes are probably gonna happen, right? We all know it's probably eventually it's a numbers game. Eventually it has to happen, right? And it has to just happen eventually. And when it happens, this guy is gonna feel smug as fuck because he thinks he predicted it. This guy actually thinks he predicted it too, and he's gonna be like, yeah, remember that video I made in 2016? I was totally right, by the way. Those sales numbers sure show. Like, what the fuck? This is what I meant earlier when it means that it depends on, like, the important part is how you arrive at your conclusion, right? Huh. When he couldn't have been more wrong because a different remake came out first. 6-to-1 like to dislike ratio, by the way. Oh, this comment didn't age well. I don't think the next game will be a remake of the Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. However, I do think it will be the next remake they do. Such a comfortable, easy take to make too, and he was still wrong. Oh God. Oh shit. Let Alaska evolve? No. Pokemon gain more experience if they're below their evolution level in Gen 6+.